Howdy, howdy, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Rockwardness Podcast, Nashville edition. On Rockwardness, we talk to songwriter types about the things that got them started with music and kept them going, and they play us one of the first songs they ever wrote. And we are joining you once again from Nashville, Tennessee, as part of our Season 3 series within a series. I'm your host, Rose Sean, joined as always by my faithful cohorts and co-hosts, Terence LeClaire and Tony Tancredi. Our guest today has a musical origin story unlike any other we've heard, to be honest. And actually, we probably should have optioned it already. Indie Movie of the Year. She was mentored by a soul legend. One of her first recordings was on Starbucks Global playlist. And she just did some opening dates with my personal favorite, Lucinda Williams. She's a folk singer. She's a poet. She's Alicia Blue. You'll want to hear the serendipitous tale of how she met her mentor, how she found out her sensitivity was a strength, and what pushed her to relocate to Nashville. Stick around for a beautiful acoustic rendition of her Starbucks famous song, Magma. So get cozy, maybe on a nice patio with a fire pit, and enjoy our interview with Alicia Blue.
My, alarm system inside is like, what? Because I thought the Grateful Dead created the wall of sound.
Mm-mm. Oh, no, but you know what's funny about that?
Maybe there's two different wall of sounds.
I know what you're talking about.
Like, Deadheads are the biggest nerds I know, and they 100 there's T-shirts of the wall of sound, and it's probably not the same thing.
I got this. It's basically two different things. You're totally
we're talking
right.
about different things.
No, Phil Spector he's coined the wall of sound. That's the whole reverb thing on his recordings. But
that's
the
different.
Deadheads had a wall of sound, which was the speaker system, and it was just before the days of figuring out concert speakers where they have those stacks,
the line array.
Like this dude who was a mad scientist, and this is in a documentary.
It's an amazing documentary.
Yeah, he invented this huge literal wall of speakers and would take it on tour with the Dead.
Whoa.
And it was this massive thing, which explains the Deadhead thing kind of more to me, where it's you would kind of follow because it was the first EDM festival.
Yeah.
Well, where it was like a live experience where you would feel the sound in your body.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that actually does make the whole following the Dead thing make a lot more sense to me now, honestly.
Well, that's what revolutionized what our generation knows as modern concert sound. That is because we when we go to an arena concert, sometimes we're like, oh, this sounds like shit. But really though, back in the day, it sounded like shit. Bad shit, right? And so looking at that made me think of something cool to talk
Marshall.
about. But it was 75 up and 100 wide, and they just
Marshall
stacked them.
Yeah.
And so that the sound could come at you at your level. And then now we've figured out how to do that without 75 up.
Yeah. Without the
whatever.
phase thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a genius. Yeah. We're going to put in the show notes a link to that documentary because
oh, yes.
It's really cool. But did we welcome
Alicia Blue.
Welcome to Rock.
Hello, we're in Nashville at Waymore's Guest House and Casual Club, and we're recording with Alicia Blue. I'm so excited that you made it out.
Well, thanks
we love your music.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for
it's
having
really
me.
fun that we've been just taking our little pauses between episodes on the patio, and you kind of waltzed out, and I was like, "Hi, I know you from LA, except not really. We just know all the same people."
That made me feel good.
Small
world.
world.
It was actually really kind of fun researching you for this because I was like, I feel like I should already know all of this because we know.
Did you know most of it?
No, because we just know all the same people, like Erica.
Yes, shout out Erica.
Shout out to Erica Andriozzi, who knows all the musicians in LA ever.
Yeah.
She's the best music
I think she
fan.
just knows everybody ever.
Well, that's true, but
Yeah.
she's just the best music fan ever. And I've been hanging out in the LA music scene for a long time, and I've certainly been aware of you, and somehow just how have we never been in the same room, but now we are.
Yeah.
I feel like I've met more people here in Nashville that are from LA that were like, oh, we've heard of you, or I've heard of you, and how have we not? And I just it blows my mind.
Well,
it's pretty cool.
It's funny because it's in LA, the music scene is so big. No, it's that weird, you're just out of sync kind of a thing. You're not quite in the Venn diagram.
It's kind of cool though. It's because when you meet, it was all meant to be.
Yeah. It was for that time.
And there's all the bona fides of oh, you know them, I know them too.
Right.
So you're actually from the LA area, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where specifically?
I was born and raised in the Pomona Valley,
okay.
where there's not much going on.
You and the Wild Reeds, though.
Yes, yeah. Some wide open spaces and
the county fair.
I literally grew up on the street across from the county fair.
Yes.
Oh,
my
really?
God.
Did you go a bunch?
I went. My mom worked for the county fair.
There
I was going to say,
I
I hope so.
Frequent.
went frequently.
Yeah.
And when I was a little girl, I danced, and so I would perform at the county fair.
Nice.
Wow.
Do you have any videos?
Lord, I do, but I would have to figure that out.
If you happen to dig one up, I will gladly take.
I'll ask. My dad will probably have one.
So what kind of dance?
I did too many kinds. I never really got good at one, but ballet was my favorite. But I did like Mexican, folklorico. I did
Oh, cool.
Hawaiian, tap, jazz.
Well, Hawaiian too?
Yeah, my
Well,
teacher
San
was
Gabriel
like
Valley, all right.
wild. She was like this older woman from New York and like knew it all.
She was like, let's just do it all.
Yeah.
Dance is dance.
Yeah,
I love
pretty
it.
much.
That's so cool. So, we just kind of like to start with like the earliest place. I mean, I did a ton of research online about you so I could ask you smart questions. That's what we do.
Love it.
You started, you grew up in Pomona. You were like right across the street from the county fair. You were doing dance. What's the earliest point that like music sort of entered your life as an idea? And this could just be like when you first thought, I'd love to do this.
That came much later. I never thought I could do it.
Well, never thought you could do it or never were interested.
So if music was an idea, that was about 13 years old.
Yeah.
So it was a Bob Dylan album, Blood on the Tracks, and
Yes.
like reaching up to the CD player I couldn't reach in my house and putting on track 1, and it was like, which is the Hurricane. Yeah. And it was like, this is like journalism, but I didn't even know what journalism really was, right? And so that didn't make sense. Like music could be like a newspaper.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I was obsessed with that idea.
Yeah.
But still was like lyric.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So that's the first time the
song.
idea entered your mind. From there, what was your evolution with that? What happened after like realizing that?
I had a kind of a Dead Poets Society English teacher my sophomore year
Yes.
of high school. And so, at home, my dad was a truck driver. My mom was a bank teller. There wasn't an instrument in the house. The idea of being an artist is sort of freakish to them. I think it still might be. So I, because of this teacher, thought, well, I'll major in English and become a writer like him. He thinks I have something or whatever that is. And I went to college and then wanted to be he gave me On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And I was like,
yes.
well, I'll be the next Jack Kerouac,
Yeah.
which everyone thinks they're the next Jack Kerouac that wants to write. And then my last year of college, I met this aging soul singer. And I was like, this idea of music was so kind of sexy to me. Never thought I could do it. And I was like, could you teach me to sing? And he said, yeah. And so that's when music began at the end of my last year in college.
Wow. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that, because you've talked about that in a lot of your press. This aging soul singer, who I'm going to let you tell that. But you were how old at that point?
I was almost 24 years old.
Oh my gosh, almost
23.
24.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was wild. I think it was Christmas Eve and it was raining and I had quit my grocery store job. I walked out. I had never done something like that. I took my apron off and I was like, forget.
Take
I don't know
this
if I
job
can
and shove
curse
it.
on here, but yeah, I pretty much.
You can fucking cuss.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, fuck the man. Me and my coworker wrote these like anarchist pamphlets, which I'm not even an anarchist. It's pretty adorable. We shoved them in all the LA weeklies, like stacked outside. And we like,
Was there something that happened?
we told like, because like the manager was like, all the bad things, like racist, sexist, like all the things.
yeah.
And so we like used a code name, but told the story of all the things he did, and and we like put them in a typewriter and made these like really beautiful, artful pamphlets.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yes, and you put them in all the LA
All the
weeklies.
LA weeklies.
Yes,
That's genius.
Yeah.
that is some
That's
really
journalism right
no,
there.
that's journalism. That's civil action. Oh my
It was
God.
really beautiful. And he was an illustrator, so he did images. Anyway, so walked out. As I was leaving, this old man used to come in and he's like, kid, where are you going? He seemed concerned, And I was like, I don't know, but I'm quitting and I'm going to work for myself. I'll do anything. And he's like, what are you going to do? So I told him, I will do anything. I will even clean houses. And so then I said, do you know anyone's house that needs to be cleaned? Kind of, cocky. And then he said, I do. And so it was the first and last house I cleaned. Yeah. It was this guy, Malcolm Hayes Jr., old soul singer. He had a stroke at like 29, so his career never blew up, but he had started off as a teenager, like opening for Little Richard in Little Richard's band. Jimi Hendrix was his band leader.
Whoa.
Just like legendary. Barry
Yeah.
White had produced all of his first demos.
Oh my gosh.
You can like listen to him on YouTube. He kind of became popular in what's called like the Northern Soul scene. So anyway, so I meet this guy. He's living up above what you guys know as Harvard and Stone.
Yeah.
He lived above Harvard and Stone?
wow.
Oh my God.
Pretty seedy back then.
Yes,
And,
I remember Thai-Town
funky.
at that time, yeah.
So Malcolm, I would go there every Saturday, and then, long story short, I was like, "Could you teach me how to sing?" Oh, because I was cleaning his house and I found his records, and he let me take them home, and I couldn't believe this voice. Like it was like Johnny Mathis meets Jackie Wilson.
And you're like, what? How?
Why
did I
are you here?
How did it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why are you here? How did I even cross paths
Yeah, how
with
are
you?
you not famous?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like a movie.
Yeah, it is like a
Yeah.
No, truly, somebody should make a movie about this. Somebody should make a movie about this.
Yeah, who's listening? But that's yeah. So like, you asked him to teach you to sing.
Yeah. And so a lot of it was really listening, though. So it was like really soul music was where I started. I tried, and I'm a terrible soul singer. So I'm a much better folk singer. But I think it comes through in my music now. Maybe a certain way I sing. But yeah, I spent about 2.5 to 3 years just hanging out with Malcolm, and I actually like slept on his floor some nights.
Well,
so
it's
that
a
I
long
could,
drive from Harvard and Stone to Pomona.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's literally why. And I didn't want to. I knew that if I got some kind of 9-to-5 job, I wouldn't be able to develop as a musician. And I knew I had years, on me to catch up on. So I just like committed. I don't know. It was like when he said yes, it was like, oh my God, I have to take this so
Well,
seriously.
it's that external validation from the universe sometimes where you're like, I have this idea, but I need some external voice to tell me that it's a good idea. Like, Lord, give me a sign. And the universe gave you
What
Malcolm.
a large sign.
So from what I read in your press, you were already into poetry, though. Like, when did that start for you?
Yeah, so kind of right out of high school, like I said, the kind of Dead Poet Society teacher,
What was his name, by the way?
Mr. Duvall, Scott Duvall. Shout out to
Scott
Scott.
Duvall.
Oh, and he has like minions of students, just
Yeah.
like you
So
know.
he
Love it
really
all. Yeah.
he influenced a lot of people. That's
That's
really
so cool.
beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So you like took his class and he like awakened your sort of writing mind.
Yeah, and I was a shitty student and he knew it and he gave me bad grades, but it's because he, knew.
Cared.
He knew you could do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really wasn't until after, till I got into college, I was like, straight A. Like for some weird reason, I cared now about it because it was like my choice or something like
So,
that.
but you were already did you start doing poetry in his class?
Truthfully, I started writing little emo poems by the time I was 12 when my parents got divorced.
I knew it.
That's true. Like every human probably kind of starts there.
Do you remember any lines from that?
Oh God, no. I mean, the kind of gist is probably like, my dad left, my mom's so sad,
Yeah.
The gist was that.
The gist was like
was like her pain and absorbing all of her pain, making it mine.
because you stayed with her. I assume. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. And like, that's a whole nother
But
thing.
also, like that's like even an amicable divorce for a 12-year-old, it's like traumatic. It's hard
Yeah.
for a kid, even if you're like that old. It's hard for you to like understand, and these are like very adult problems. Everything in your life changes. It's a huge seismic shift in your life.
yeah.
It's great you found that outlet.
I have no idea. Like, I just, thank the universe for that.
Yeah.
I saw a really amazing meme recently, which actually, if we can edit out the pause, I'll read it to you.
Cool.
because it's actually very relevant to what we're talking about. Let me just open Instagram.
Memes are the poems of our times.
They are actually.
Yeah. But I love how metaphorical like our minds have gotten as just people. I feel like it used to be a lot more literal, where it's just like, oh, this is that. Now you show a picture and some words and people put it together and it's accepted, and it's like, it's pretty
It's
cool.
so minimal. Like the amount, it's so funny because I'm reading this like slightly Tibetan Buddhist book teaching thing right now. And it said the truth must be implied. And the shape of the truth is mostly more important than the truth at that point.
And you can't let
Love
the facts
it.
get in the way.
Right.
like-
So that's like what you're saying.
It's like the vessel that contains it's not about the water, it's about the glass.
Well, and I like adding to that, like you can't let the facts get in the way of the truth, which is more of a songwriting thing. But I found the thing. So
Right.
you got to resurrect the deep pain within you and give it a place to live that's not within your body. Let it live in art. Let it live in writing. Let it live in music. Let it be devoured by building brighter connections. Your body is not a coffin for pain to be buried in. Put it somewhere else. This is a tweet by at Ihime. Anyway,
Your body's not a coffin.
That's beautiful.
that like you don't when you're that young, you're just like, I have all these feelings. Where do I put them?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, and it sounds like you did, just kind of were like, well, blah. Like, here, you know.
Yeah. I just remember feeling kind of like a freak at like 5. My feelings were so big, and Lord, my family had no tools for that kind of thing, like at all. Like, no, I mean, at all. And so I remember like experiencing what we call a big feeling now, and my mom's eyes just being like, looking at me like,
What do we do with this?
What is happening? And so then you just internalize those eyes, you know.
That's interesting. You say that you internalize those eyes of like somebody judging your expression and going, that's a lot. Now, I hope this isn't too stereotypical, but you know, your family is Mexican American, is that right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's like kind of a stereotype of sort of like Latin people being like really emotional, and it sounds like that wasn't your experience.
No. So, no. I mean, correct. You are very correct. I grew up in a mostly male-dominated family. I had 2 older brothers and then 4 uncles that I was raised with. So, other than my grandma, my mom, and me, it was my dad, my brothers, and my uncles all together. So, no emotion. I remember like being 16 and breaking up with a boyfriend and having like my brother, who was like my world, he was like 8 years older. I remember feeling like I didn't want to wake up in the morning. That's a big feeling, right? Like
it's a big feeling.
I like not suicidal, but
no, but like I'm just so sad that I can't
like
handle.
I don't want to wake up today. I remember saying that, and he and his like fiance were like, just you need to stop feeling that, and they like walked out of the room. And I remember going like, I'm on my own, and I need to get out of this town.
Yeah,
like that was, and like God bless my brother. Like no one gave him the
good
tools.
on you.
No, but like somebody that you love and you love so much and look to so much and look up to so much, being like, your feelings are too big.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So through this whole time, you're writing these poems, and were you showing them to anybody, or were you just? I mean, it sounds like maybe not.
No, I think my mom found them.
Oh.
And like that was like some kind of weird yummy thing for her, because it was like because it was a lot of her
insight.
pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, someone else feels me.
Yeah.
Which that's like a whole nother.
No, but like, but honestly, like seeing that anybody else saw her pain probably meant a lot to her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did she say when she found them?
Well, she definitely didn't say anything at that time. But when I was older, it was like a thing she would talk about. Yeah.
But I mean, what was her reaction to it when she did tell you?
It was something I probably am not even going to go into.
Well, I mean, you know what? Honestly,
It turned a little more into, she won't listen to this, so it turned a little more into like pride that I was her like spokesperson. Too much pride about that versus like I needed someone to raise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I'm sorry if that was an
Oh,
uncomfortable
no, it's
question.
not at all.
But I think it's really kind of the point of what we do here is talking about sort of like the beginnings of you as an artist. And I think it's really interesting because we talk to so many people who have these like super supportive parents who are like, yeah, do music, do your thing. And then some who don't, but like most of the people we talk to have parents who are like, oh, my kid is creative, let's nurture that. And it sounds like your family was like maybe just like a little less emotionally open. That's interesting because the artist you are now, you're so emotionally open. It's interesting to see the contrast between like how people come to this place. You were writing these poems basically in secret.
100%.
Did you show them to anybody?
No.
Not even friends. You didn't have
No. Oh my God.
you didn't have like one single person.
Never.
Wow.
It's more like a diary.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so it truly was just like your thing. And then your high school English teacher kind of like showed you that maybe this could be like a thing that you could do in a bigger way.
Yeah. Oh, he made me feel like I had a superpower. Like
that's
he
so
would
cool.
say like, you're sensitive. And I was like, oh, that's such a bad thing.
Yeah, like-
and he was like, no, that's like,
No.
you're so lucky. And I was like, what?
No,
so
the
he was like
first
the
time-
first person who saw me.
The
Yeah.
first time that sensitive was a compliment and not a put down.
That's right.
That's a really beautiful transition point.
Yeah.
That's a really beautiful transition point.
Yeah, it's
oh
kind
my
of,
goodness.
that'd be a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's wait. Well, no, we recorded it so we can remember this for
Yeah.
later. Anyway, you were saying you went to school and you were developing the poetic voice, right?
Yeah.
And then at that time, were you even in contact with any musicians? Did you have any sort of like just writing poetry?
No, so the person who I wrote those anarchist pamphlets with, I would like, he would make me like mixtapes and stuff like that. And so we talked music and we both like were Bob Dylan aficionados, knew everything about him. He might have known a little bit more because he was a little bit older than me about Bob. He and I kind of developed I would say a musical intellectual relationship
Yeah.
right before I met Malcolm.
What was in those mixtapes?
Yeah, I know.
Oh God. There was Sweet Thing by Van Morrison. What else was on there? Richard and Mimi Farina. I don't know if you guys know the folk duo. That's
No.
Joan Baez's sister.
Yes, okay.
Incredible folk duo. That's how I heard of them because of one of his mixtapes. Oh, there's this incredible Creedence Clearwater song that's not mainstream. Oh, long as I can see the light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
song. I mean, it's
Yes.
mainstream, but it's not like
No,
they're
no,
like,
no.
you know,
It's-
like
it's not
Yeah,
the-
not
it's
a
not like
fortunate
Bad Moon
song.
Rising.
Right.
you know?
It's not the annoying
That
one
was
that's on the
that's
classic
right, it's
rock
not the
heavy
annoying
rotation.
one.
Yeah.
So like that was on there. Some just like like Needle in the Damage Done by Neil Young. Just like
yes.
deep dark
Love
cuts.
that.
You know
Yes.
that like. So then he saw me, but it was just like through mixtapes.
No, I
love
love that.
that.
So the reason I ask is because this feels like a very like deep influence, right? This is somebody that
yeah.
you kind of were like in. I mean, you did a political action together.
I know,
That's
so
pretty
cool.
important. But we actually were talking about mixtapes earlier today, or mixed CDs or whatever. And I think that's like that's such a lost art because
It
sharing
is.
a playlist with somebody
Not
isn't
the
the
same.
same. And like making that mixed CD, it's such an intimate act to like give somebody this thing that's like these are the things I love.
Like, I made
hope-
this for you.
I hope I made this for you.
Yeah.
These are the things I love. I hope they resonate with you. So I think these selections are really meaningful, and especially the ones that you remember. Like those are the ones that were like powerful. And then so to like be working at that job with that guy, like getting like these things from him, and then to leave it together in this sort of like righteous anger, and then on the way out meet this person who ended up being your mentor. Yeah. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is a story that sounds like somebody wrote it.
I did have two things. I need to go back really quickly. So just so you know, he actually recorded vinyl to a cassette tape, like tracks
Nice.
from vinyl to
See,
cassette.
that
I
is
love him.
effort. That is
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
He
Who is
meant
this
it.
guy?
Mario.
Mario.
Yeah,
Shout out to
Yeah, I love
Mario.
Mario. He's an angel in my life. So I just remember when I got up to apartment 604 above Harvard and Stone, it was so like shady in that area, knocking on the door and like someone yelling, "Come in!" And I was like, "What the
No,
fuck have I
you were
gotten
like, no,
myself
I'm
into?"
not going to just
Like,
open this door.
what am I
Yeah.
doing? I'm this like little 23-year-old gal. Like, who is this dude? He kind of sounded like a woman. It was kind of cool, but I was like, what's going on in here? And then when I opened the door because it was unlocked. Oh, and the music was blaring down the hallway. And it was Johnny Guitar Watson, like funk music bumping down the hallway. And I walk and he has like the biggest smile and he's on a stationary bike and like this arm's like this because he's had a stroke and his legs, he's pretty impaired. Like he can barely walk, but he works out. I'd come to find out later that he works out on this like stationary bike. So I walk in and he's smiling and he's like sweating and working out on his bike. And I don't know. It was like I came home. It was the weirdest feeling.
Wow.
It was like literally like I came home.
Yeah.
That gave me like full body chills and like also tears at the same time, because it's like somebody couldn't have written this person who like has a disability but also like a great gift, and then here you are in this like weird transitional place in your life, and you're just like walking into like God knows what, and then you found each other. So like, how did that relationship develop? I mean, because you showed up to clean his house, right? And then you find him on his stationary bike. Like, what was that first interaction like?
I don't know. It was, I mean, because I would go every Saturday, and we just kind of loved each other. And I don't mean that in a spiritual
like
way.
Yeah.
Point being, after, a few Saturdays, and, I said, can you teach me to sing or whatnot? This is a legend. Like, I found these like, what are those called? Headshots, like headshot things.
Nice.
Yeah.
And like with people's like stats on the back, height, weight. I found one of him when he was like 19, like signed to Columbia, like this handsome,
Like young,
just like
vibrant
handsome
person.
young soul singer. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I wish I could have married this guy.
Yeah.
My imagination's just like
Yeah.
flooded. And so after like a few weeks of just discovering him, then I asked him. And then when he said yes, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, because the thing about wanting to be the next Jack Kerouac is I wanted to learn from someone. I didn't have parents who, taught me shit. Like,
Yeah.
I just didn't have that. They didn't teach me shit. And like about these things I was interested in, right? And so I wanted to hear something from the horse's mouth, and I wasn't getting that. Like, my professors in college felt too sanitized as poets.
They probably felt obligated to be so.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because they were teachers. And
Yeah.
so meeting this, like, so Malcolm was homeless for 14 years. Before that, he was a drug addict. And before that, he was a musician, and then had the stroke, and then became a drug addict, and then became homeless. And so
sad.
So he lived.
Oh, he lived, and he had been like sober and in this apartment above Harvard and Stone for like 15 years until I meet him. Wow. So to kind of, I think, answer your question, was he used to say like, okay, I know why I'm still here. And then the truth is he died by 2015. And then that's when I did my first open mic. So it was like a very fast kind of.
So you met him in what year?
2012.
So you had 3 years with him.
Yeah.
See, this is a miracle. Like, this
Yes.
is like,
It's really
this is the
beautiful.
kind of
It is
like,
beautiful.
I'm not a religious person, right? But I believe that the universe works in mysterious ways. So when you said like, hey, can you teach me to sing? Like, what did he say?
He said, you don't want to do music. He said,
course.
it's the
He's like, it's a
hard-
trap.
He said,
Yeah.
it's the hardest thing you could choose.
Wow.
And I was just like wide-eyed. And I
Yeah.
was like, I do.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And then he looked at me and he said, and I think he like got a little emo, and he's like, it's going to be so hard. And I was like, okay, and oh my God. Yeah, it got hard.
Right, you figured
He
it
wasn't
out.
around, but
you fucked
Yeah,
around
no.
and you found out.
Yeah.
So what did that look like? Him teaching you to sing?
It's things I feel like I've hardly told people, because they're like, they should be in a movie.
There will be a movie about this.
No,
After this
you were.
episode, really.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this episode is going to be the pitch for your movie. So
I did have a USC person interview me like 90 questions, and then like I like answered them all, never heard from them again.
Wow.
But I'll just say one vignette of like, what did that look like? We got on the bus because he was in a motorized wheelchair, and he took me to South Central to sing for the first time publicly in front of people. And he had taught me a lot of jazz and blues. So again, remember, I have no musical training. I didn't have it in school. I went to Catholic school. Like, I didn't know what a key was. I didn't know what a tempo was. But I'm about to get on the stage, and I'm like the only white person in the room in this blues club, and I completely fuck up. It's the worst. I go, I want to sing Stormy Monday, and they go, what key do you sing it in? And I like,
You're like,
I was like, they go, well, we'll do it in C, and they're like, pretty much not friendly. Like, who is this green kid in here? And I go, sure, I do it in C. And I literally start singing it in the key I learned it in over the key they played in the tempo I learned it in, like total memorization.
yeah.
It's like, it was so bad. Everyone kind of felt sorry for me. No one was cruel to me, but it was like silent. We get back on the bus, and I'm like, okay. And I'm still in my head. I'm like, can't have been that bad, right? And Malcolm just looks at me and he goes, you fucked up. And I just start crying. Right? So that's like day one. So then he goes, you need to learn music. You need to learn you need to go to school and learn a few things. So he makes me go to City College for 1 semester and learn a little music theory. You guys know what Rhodes are, like Rhodes pianos.
Oh, yeah.
So LACC had 1966 school teacher edition Rhodes all about to get thrown away.
What?
So they said if you can, because those versions had an amp built into it.
Beautiful.
Those
I
are
love
amazing.
them.
Yeah, the ending of this is horrific, but
like
I'll tell that later.
Portishead.
So we get it, and we move it into Malcolm's apartment. It's really heavy. That's why they're just like so heavy.
They're beasts.
They're beasts. And so I would practice like, scales in his apartment. And the kind of cute story is like the sweet boys that I went to school with helped us take this heavy beast and lift it into one of Malcolm's, like, honestly, homeless friends' vans to bring it up to Malcolm's apartment. And the boys couldn't lift it. And Malcolm, who can't walk, has one good arm, gets up because he can stand, and he lifts the rest with this one good arm and gets it in the van. And we get it into his apartment. So just stories like that I've never really told anyone that feel a little superhero like.
Yeah.
That's so
I
beautiful.
love that.
Honestly, that's so beautiful because to me, like the way I see that story as you're telling it is it's like it was important to him.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like it was important to him. It was like this is something that energized him, and he was like, "No, we need to get this piano into my apartment because like this girl needs to learn." And the piano is like Western music theory in like one like beautiful linear thing.
That's right.
So he's like, "This is the tool." Right?
Exactly.
And so he just like he like called in all his resources and then even his own strength where he's like, I have one good arm, I can lift this shit. That's so awesome. Art matters. Like I think that's like kind of the point is like art matters, and to the people that art matters to, it matters so much. It was his entire life, even at this point where he was kind of like, this sort of secret. He was the secret living in this apartment above this bar.
Yeah.
Did he instill in you a sense that you could write songs and come up with your own songs?
Yeah, he actually used to say, when I met him, he said, do you want to be a singer who plays guitar, or do you want to be a guitar player who sings?
Interesting.
And I was like a singer who plays guitar, right?
Yeah,
so I knew
obviously.
that. So, you start off covering songs,
Yeah.
sort of, but I had already had that poetry background. And his main thing was, that's the goal, is you got to start writing your songs. And he was the first person to say to me, when you write, you need to say what the thing you are really not wanting to say that's scary.
Yes,
That's
the thing you're
you need
afraid to say.
So I always feel really grateful. Like as shitty as I was in the beginning with my musicianship, I always knew like my lyric would be safe.
You leaned
because
into
of
your
that.
strengths.
Yeah.
So did you write with him at all, or was he just kind of advising you?
Never with him. And, I barely was even writing by the time he died. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm very sorry for your loss, first of all.
Same. Malcolm sounds amazing. Shout out to Malcolm.
No, and
out
just
to
like one of these. I think about this a lot, having experienced some loss myself. You have these angels in our lives, and sometimes it's like you don't even know it. Sometimes until they're gone. But so after he passed, how did that affect your sort of journey or development as an artist? Did it drive you to be like, oh, I got to do the thing now, or what happened then?
I would say yes. There was some confusion. So much of what I needed came from Malcolm, and so much of what I still needed wasn't here yet, or there yet, I should say. I wanted to be like Malcolm. I wanted to be a soul singer, and that's not what I am.
Yeah.
So that wasn't working. And I was actually kind of, not because of him, but I was suppressing like the poet and the folk singer in me to try to be this
like
kind
him.
of legendary
Yeah.
guy like he was. And it just wasn't working. And I tried that for like a year, and then had like a relationship. I can kind of actually segue this because it kind of works with the song I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But so after Malcolm died, I had a relationship with this younger dude, and God bless him. if he probably won't hear this either, but
I hope he does.
yeah, I hope he does.
He needs to know.
He was a hip hop producer, and I remember I was so pushed to the brink of like trying to have this voice and be this thing that really I wasn't, that I finally just started writing like my first folk songs. And he was like, no one is gonna listen to this.
Fuck him.
Literally said that.
Fuck
And
him.
he didn't even like know that was abusive. He just like really like
He was just trying to be helpful.
Or did he even tell you why? Or
he said it's too many words, right?
Oh
so
my
God.
so like,
Yeah.
but and I'm
What?
not even like
Spoken like somebody who doesn't fucking get
What?
it. Yeah.
yeah.
2 words, Bob Dylan.
So,
know, right?
so
Words,
he
come
obviously
on.
just didn't understand folk music.
And
Not
wait
at
a
all.
minute,
Not.
hip hop, like rap, is
know.
all words.
All words.
Yeah.
I know. So he dumps me, right? This younger dude. And I'm like, don't know who I am. I'm like, I was a soul singer. Then I just wrote these like Dylan-esque things. And he dumps me. And I'm like, what the fuck am I? Like, what am I doing? Right? And so I record, I'm like, alone. I feel so alone. I record these with Eduardo Rivera, Angel.
Yes. Amazing.
And, it's like just me and my guitar. Eduardo adds his beautiful like bass and shakers and a few other things, super minimalist, and make this little folk EP. And I just release it on whatever it is. What is it? CD Baby or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I get an email that says like Starbucks has requested to use their song. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This isn't real.
Are you kidding?
And then I thought it was junk, like for sure. Because you get like so much spam.
You get so much of that. Like
we are A&R.
we're interested in your thing if
That's
you
right.
pay us money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like,
So then I
what?
like read the guy who signed it. He literally works for a licensing company. And then it was like used for 3 years in Starbucks stores.
Oh my God.
The song I'm going to play.
Oh
so
my God.
that's how I knew when he said no one's going to listen to this. And then that happened. So that's the end of my story.
I love that.
Sometimes the people whose opinions we listen to are wrong.
That's right.
Very
So
wrong.
we'd love to hear the song.
By the way, I love that Gibson.
Thank you.
I want to hear the story about it after.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got nobody left to please, so I think I'll put my visions on the table. Oh, the sky is on fire with ecstasy from 1,000 Agma children on their way home. Oh, Lord, we're looking so beautiful as we rise. Yes, Lord, streaming ribbons of eat lunch like cannonballs in the night. Ashes and instincts are what we got left. We've trashed our burdens to the place they came from. Protest and progress made by the people with neon screens and modern communication. Oh, condemn when it feeds in our selfishness. Could we be loved the way that God has made us? Oh, Lord, we're looking so beautiful as we rise. Yes, Lord, streaming ribbons of eat lunch like cannonballs in the night. Oh, they're watching and waiting from penthouse suites, Scorpio children flooding their streets, trying to get free. Oh Lord, we're looking so beautiful as we rise. Yes, Lord. Streaming ribbons of launch like cannonballs in the night. Banned and forbidden for our prophecies, we rush into the churches that will take us. We'll say, come as you are, and remind them that we are diamonds born from pressure they're afraid of. Oh Lord, we're looking so beautiful as we rise. Yes, Lord, streaming ribbons of launch like cannonballs in the night.
Oh my goodness.
So you recorded that with Eddie Rivera?
I did.
That's
This is
amazing.
One of the first things I did with him.
Ah, man. And you've worked with him a lot, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, just those songs, but that was, I tell people, and I don't even think if Eddie ever were to hear this, that is like one of my favorite producer artist experiences I've ever had. I adore Eddie.
It's funny
Yeah.
because I don't actually know him personally, but I've been aware of him for a long time because I've been seeing Lauren.
I was gonna say,
play
if you've ever seen
forever,
Lauren
yeah,
play.
that was kind of like the beginning of her like LA music experience, and he really is he's such a quiet talent.
He's like a Zen master.
Yeah, and seemingly very willing to support somebody else's voice.
Yeah.
That was your first recording experience.
Yeah.
I love the journey, by the way, of being in that bar and just not knowing the key and everything, and now you're just masterfully playing this
also,
beautiful
that was the
Gibson
amazing
You have a
part.
very beautiful
with a beautiful
you've
voice.
you've obviously evolved,
It's
but
just, wow.
but so you recorded that, and then what?
Well, from the bar to now, I worked really fucking hard
Yeah, it shows.
to get better. Because it was I never want to feel that again.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was such a deep, wound.
Well, I do think it's important to have those experiences.
bomb?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, to bomb.
You have to.
Comedians say this, you need to bomb sometimes, and you will. But to have that feeling of failure, it's it's growth.
Yeah.
You recorded these songs with Eddie, and then and then what?
So then the pandemic came. So that came out in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
And then I made another album with Jason Goldstein and Jordan Ruiz
Oh my
produced
God,
it. Do you
I
know
love Jason Goldstein. Yeah,
He's one of my best friends.
Yeah,
I
so he
love
plays
Jason.
with my friend Amy.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know Amy, but
Amy Levitt Summer. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway.
yeah, so made another record called Brave Bird in 2020, and then the pandemic came. And then in the pandemic, got my first manager, started coming to Nashville, which that kind of puts us here. Made a record with Lincoln Parrish, and now I just finished a record. And I re-recorded Magma. The old one will be up.
sweet.
But
Yeah.
so there's a full band version of that now.
Sweet.
It's kind of a little.
And that'll be on the next record?
Wait. So when did you
Nice.
record the original though? 2019 or
The
2018?
the original was 2019.
When was that first open mic after Malcolm passed?
That was around 2016.
Real quick, was that the guitar? The first one out of the
On
gate?
Magma? No.
Yeah.
No.
love
There's
that
a whole
guitar.
nother incredible story we probably don't have time for my first guitar. But
We
I
have
can-
time. Go for it. Go for it.
This is literally my favorite
it's
thing.
one of
real
the best
quick.
parts of my fucking story.
I just want to hear it real quick, just a little bit.
Thai Town. There's a restaurant called Palms Thai, I believe, or Thai Hollywood, something like that. Right by Harvard and
Wait,
Stone.
is it? Yeah,
It's the one on the corner.
Thai
It's right by
Hollywood.
Jumbo's.
The one. No. The one
There's
right.
that one. That's
No,
I
but the one right next to Harvard and Stone.
It's to the left.
Hollywood Thai.
Hollywood
yeah,
Thai.
Okay,
yeah.
So Malcolm and I were in there. This awesome gay Thai woman was singing beautiful Carole King songs,
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell songs, pristine finger picking. And he goes, "You need to go ask her how to play guitar." Because he couldn't show me anything. He was there, you know?
I'm so glad you brought her up. Because
And so he goes, "You need to go." And I'm like, "I'm not gonna ask her." And he's like, "You need to get it. You need to go talk to her." So I do, and she fucking can't speak English, but she just sang all these songs in perfect
Perfect
English.
English.
even though she didn't speak English,
That's
She,
amazing.
she could say hi, thank you. So Nong N-O-N-G was her name.
Shout out, no.
We basically became like the best of friends for the next 2 years. And she took me to buy my first guitar. It was a Martin.
Yes, yeah.
And she taught me to play guitar.
Oh,
Yeah.
that just gave me full body chills and
no.
like tears. Oh my God.
She lives back in
that.
Thailand now. But she was just here to like make money to help her mother who was
and
like
to meet
80.
you.
And to meet you
Obviously.
and teach you to play
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah.
And I remember her. Like
So
I remember
that's that story.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that era.
That's
Gosh,
so beautiful.
I was
Yeah.
there.
No, so I
remember that era.
read
Yeah.
about her in some of your press, and I was hoping we would talk about her, but yeah, you brought it up organically. You put out Magma, played some shows in LA, and then pandemic, and then what?
Well, no. So played some shows, had songs ready for another record, made another record. Bigger though, because I mean bigger as in like I saved like $1,500.
Right.
And, and had all my like
that's
great
a big deal.
musician friends
Yeah.
play on it. And that had Queen of Echo Park, which is actually about Lauren.
Yes, I know.
And
I
so
know. I remember when it
that-
came out.
that
I was
was
actually
fun.
like, oh my God, this girl wrote a song about Lauren.
Yeah, that was fun. And then the pandemic came when the album came out. But that single had come out like that January. I got appendicitis
No.
2 weeks after the album came out, but everything was already locked down. So my life just changed. Like I didn't like, if you guys have ever had it or know anyone that has it, like it's supposed to be it's dangerous, but it's supposed to be a fairly like in and out thing. And mine was like a 6-day issue because
Oh
I
my
got an
God.
infection. And
Jeez.
it was like, 10 being like you die, 1 being the normal, like
Right,
easy
yeah.
thing. I was like a 5. So it wasn't like,
Right. Like you weren't going to
Like-
die, but it sucked.
but it was like life changing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So because of that, I was like, I'm getting my shit together. We really don't have time for the story, but it got my first manager, which was angelic and divine. It's a beautiful story. Got my
what's his
first
name?
manager,
His or her name?
Brian Ross.
Shout out, Brian.
Life changing. He probably will listen to this. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's a good
Hey,
manager.
Brian.
He better.
And,
Come on, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, come on, Brian. And so because of Brian, he said, you would do so well in Nashville. And then I started taking these driving trips. He like sent my stuff out to like, publishers and they
yeah.
would like pull their writers and she's a good fit. So I started taking these drives out and one of them happened to be Lincoln Parrish, who he started Cage the Elephant.
Yes.
And so we hit it off and then a year later made an album, which came out this year.
Yeah.
And the first part came out last year.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
congrats.
Thank you.
Are you gonna play a song from it?
Now, no.
you?
Or do you want to play
I-
something from your next release?
The truth
yeah.
is,
Yeah, I want to hear something unreleased.
oh, okay. I can do something
Breaking
from the
news.
next record.
Yeah.
Yeah, do please.
Tune
Please.
this.
I know. What was that tuning on?
Because this is Open D. I
Yeah.
was listening to a lot of Joni Mitchell.
It sounded so deep and
You
rich.
know what? I'm glad you said that because when I was listening on the drive down, I was like, oh, there's so many Joni Mitchell vibes here. Like I
Okay,
can see
yeah,
the influence
yeah.
and such a beautiful, not to the point where it's like, oh, she just wants to be Joni Mitchell. It was just like,
I appreciate that. I had to go through it. I had to become. Like,
I mean, I'm a
myself.
huge Joni Mitchell fan.
Okay,
so,
cool. Okay,
so
good.
My ears are tuned for it, you know?
So because of this tuning, obviously Magma is a little Joni, and then this one is like the most Joni Mitchell thing-ish. But it's like you'll hear it after I told you everything about my mom, but you'll hear kind of it's almost like those little poems I wrote. This is like the adult
Oh my
version.
God.
Well,
It's like full circle.
It's funny.
is.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's the full circle of like the poems you wrote. Your mom loved it. Honestly, my mom used to want to be Joni Mitchell, like, before I was
love
born.
that. I love your mom.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with her.
Yeah. You would
But
love
I
her.
will say that once this record comes out, when you hear this song, it sounds very not Joni Mitchell because the production went in a totally different way, in a cool way.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love that how you can like the essence that is important to me is
Yeah.
still there, but it like removed it from like the
the front part of your brain.
yeah.
This is called Yellow Arnica, which is the first flower that blooms after devastating wildfires. So it's like the first thing that kind of pops up in the soil.
I already love it. I haven't even heard a note and I love it.
Her mother's in a ditch, broken from a man. She won't be like the one whose heart is broken half. Roses past their prime, turning into ash, back into the ground, but no longer living captive. She's the soil underneath, the destruction of the heat. Blooming yellow arnica, aster in the spring, searching for love and what it means to be free. She grows and finds a man that stimulates her freedom. He surfs the day away and shows her all the beaches. But soon she'll have to leave him. He wants sand and nothing more. Back into the city for a spark she's looking for. In the soil underneath, the destruction of the heat. Blooming yellow arnica, aster in the spring, searching for love and what it means to be free. And not a minute sooner, she finds one so much older. He gives her all the music before his body breaks. She's overflowing now with a song she can't escape. Back into the ground, he completes the circle game. In the soil underneath, the destruction of the heat. Blooming yellow arnica, aster in the spring, searching for love and what it means to be free.
I love those big open chords.
Oh my God. No, I hear the Joni Mitchell of it, but it doesn't if you hadn't said it, I wouldn't be thinking it. Also,
Sorry, my hat kept hitting that.
well, so we were
It's
joking.
percussion.
We were joking with Susie Chisholm about how the hat brim is like a liability. Like you can't hug
Everywhere.
you can't hug anybody. You can't do anything with that.
Can't. You're just like,
So I
keep my safe. Keep my space.
Yeah, it's right. This is my
Don't get
bubble.
near me.
You don't get within the bubble of my hat. But I wanted to ask you, I hope it's okay. How do your parents feel about your music career now?
They are very, thank you, sweet, and fairly intellectually distant from it, not because of choosing to be, but because it's just a world they don't know.
They don't get it.
Sorry. And are we still doing this?
Yeah.
Is this still happening?
Yeah, no, we're still
cruising,
doing the
yeah.
podcast.
Is anybody still listening?
Yeah. Is any emotionally they're in and out in the ways they can. I'm supposed to open for Lucinda Williams.
Wow.
And
Oh my God,
that
my
I'm-
favorite.
I can't.
I'm crying.
Yeah. So this run is in the winter, and of course, my parents don't know who that is because it's just not my dad's from Mexico. My mom. It's a whole thing. So, but long story short is. When I told my dad, he's like, "Oh my God, that's great. Maybe she can show you how to really get your songs good and get them in front of the right people."
That's so cute.
You're like,
It's
Dad.
it's adorable. You're just like,
you're
you're
cute.
My
You're like-
song was in Starbucks.
No, you're like, she is the right people. I wouldn't be in front of her if they hadn't
but
been the
it's
right people.
he was so excited. And
That's so
it's
funny.
just it's hilarious.
So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are excited for you. They just
100%.
They don't
To
understand
the-
it, but they're excited for you.
100%.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
Yes.
I'd love to kind of close out the episode with you just kind of talking about transitioning to Nashville because you're from LA. What was leaving LA like for you?
It was amazing.
She's smiling so big right now.
It was amazing. So I had already had a taste of Nashville for a year. And then I got to spend a whole month here making an album. And we were just talking before we started how everyone is so nice here.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like a piece of shit. You're like, I am wired like a corrupt
I'm
asshole.
wired to be like, nobody talk to me.
Yeah, like, why do I have distrust for every human?
I think I texted everyone. It's my first time in Nashville, like yesterday. I got here. And I was like,
everyone's so nice.
do people think they know me? Like, because everyone's literally like, oh, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hi.
and they're like gentle and kind. You're like,
LA breaks you.
yeah, it's, it's nothing like, where I grew up is nothing like the city proper of LA. And here is nothing like either where I grew up nor LA. Nashville is truly a music town. LA has a music business and music scenes, but Nashville is like, you don't meet anyone that's not doing music. And at the same time, it's much less, and I say this lightly, but it's much less competitive in a sense of it's much less cliquey. There are scenes, and whatnot, but I just feel like, if you're fucking good at what you do, people want you around.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
it. That's just like what Nashville is. And I love that. It's so yummy to me. Yeah.
Alicia, thank you
Thank
so
you, Alicia.
much.
Thank you.
Oh my God,
so much for being here.
I'm so glad we finally got to meet here
I
on the
know.
other side of the country.
Yeah, I've been following her on Instagram for like quite a while and listening to her music. I'm like, oh, I saw that you were in Nashville. I'm like, oh, you know what?
All right, you know what? We're going to be in Nashville.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Oh my God, thank you so
so much.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Alicia.
guys. Thank you.
I in no way kept my chill when she mentioned Lucinda Williams, and I make no apologies for it. She's an absolute legend, and that's super, super cool. Alicia's got big things brewing, and we are so happy for her. Her new single, John Wayne, is out, and it is awesome. So definitely take a listen on a device near you. She also just announced that she will be an official showcasing artist at this September's Americana Fest in Nashville. She's got more music coming, so make sure you follow her on all the socials so you can stay up to date. You can follow us too, and we hope you will. We will include all those social links in the show notes. As always, don't you worry. We love a rating and a review if you like what you hear and if your platform allows it. But seriously, even a simple subscribe or follow helps us make a splash in the deluxe size kiddie pool of podcasting. So we sure would appreciate it if you smash that little plus sign, or thumbs up, or whatever it is. Okay, enough business. Go listen to Alicia's entire catalog. See you next week.